Oh boy, we actually have news. Hi, I'm Umber Rays. You may remember me from such YouTube videos as a Cuphead playthrough, me suffering and dying lots, or Dio Field Chronicle, the SRPG you should probably be playing. Anyway, welcome guys, time to talk about some Wotv news, and yeah, it's been a long drought because last week there was a bit of a holiday, so I think that interrupted the news cycle a fair bit, but hey, no worries. We're going to be getting into some news today for both JP and Global, so let's start with let's just start with the JP news, shall we? That's a good place to start. So we're going to have a pickup match. Sure, why not? All right, look down, you look at this, and there's some details here, all of that. It's pretty interesting, I guess, mainly for the JP side. And look at this, we get a new arena map focusing on the wind element. Well, that's curious. Global getting a wind character this week. I wonder if never mind. That is not remotely what's happening. All right, so here we do with a brand new character for you. On the JP side, we are looking at a new wind archer. So another wind range character. This goes along with the fact that Global is also getting a wind range character this week, so probably a little bit of interestingness happening there for the planning. But thing you'll note, let's start off, first of all, she is a hunter, and hunters recently got buffed, so that's pretty interesting. Has made Eliza on the JP side pretty nice and strong. That's an important footnote there, is the fact that, yes, Eliza, because of the recent job buffs, has definitely gotten buffed to be much stronger than she was before, and she was already really strong to begin with. So, I'm happy with this because wind seems to be getting a lot of attention. It's kind of nice to see ice keeping pace with it in whatever way. But we'll also notice Battle Axe and Gunner are the three jobs here. And the other thing to really important note is that this is a 70 cost unit. This is interesting because this is a really, really low costed unit overall. And if you think of someone like Cowl, who's 80 cost, what's a big thing that Cowl's missing? Yes, a limit burst. There isn't really too much to talk about here. We see right here that she has a large AoE with CT effect in her kit, which is very nice to see. And we see that she also has a limit burst here, which is pretty big. It looks to be what we got here. Yeah. Hold on, let me just pull it up here because actually just way too small on my screen. Yes, Charisse is also I do believe that she was part of the Glassy troop, if I'm not incorrect. Yes. Let's talk about the master ability here. So master ability will be getting shooting attack resistance penetration up by 10 and AP consumption down by 15. Two pretty nice things overall for a hunter type job, as hunter still kind of has some AP problems, not as much as it used to be with newer equipment and whatnot, but it is to be considered. So yes, looks like we'll be removing all enhancements, and also seems to be some kind of will become more difficult for her to be targeted. So possibly hate down effect. It's not specifically listed, but it seems to be more difficult to be targeted. So kind of evasion. It's a little bit interesting. We'll have to see where that exactly shapes up to be. But Charisse is definitely I think, pretty interesting little character, because what her value here of just being really low cost means that she can fit into a lot of very low costed teams. There's already Joom, who's very strong, and Sadali, so there's potentially some interesting combination here for arena and limited cost depending on where you're willing to cut costs. Next up, the next of the free characters, say hello to Lizette, who I believe a lot of people already know. And so what's to talk about here? Well, we are looking at a fist style character for Thunder, which means that Queen finally gets a friend, a relevant friend. We're also looking at Nightblade and Spellblade. which is a pretty interesting combination. It could be just pretty magic resistant, and also, you know, Nightblade always has the potential of bringing really strong abilities, be them chaining or not, but it's nice to see another Fist character, and especially a lower cost free-to-play Fist character. Yes, Fist character. Stop resistance up by 25, own magic attack resistance by 15, critical rate plus 30, and critical damage plus 10. So it seems to be another critical character that's very much seemingly Thunder's identity. So quite happy to see that. Two characters here that look pretty interesting for different reasons. Both low cost, different elements. And, you know, depending on what characters you've been building, what elements you've been building, might be nice gets either way. Charisse being a 70 cost means that she won't be difficult to get potentially later on, but if you are a Thunder or a person who's been looking for some more wind range, this will be probably a really solid character. And heck, I remember the last time a archer style character came to an element that was already doing pretty good. It got considerably better, Liza, sorry. So yeah, there we go. And of course, you'll be able to train this character up, and it looks like we have a bow and a returning fist, which is pretty nice to see for the two new characters. So that is that, and now we're going to move on to the global side and try to keep this video, you know, somewhat concise. Anyway. So let's start off with, you know, the theme of the week, and the theme of the week for global is the big J, the J Den, and yeah, for everyone who thought that beach units weren't coming to global, I get to wag my finger at you, because I never lost hope, not for a second. So first of all, this is an interesting card that I do want to talk about first, because out of everything, this is Curious, friend or foe, activation up, nothing, no effect. All elemental attack up, and for iced, wind, and light units, accuracy up, which is pretty interesting little combination. Limited bestowed effect is magic. Now I assume that this card is meant to be good just generally with a lot of different characters, and I don't know if it is a specifically, what is it? It looks like a gotcha unit card. I'm just scanning really quickly. I don't see anything, but this is kind of interesting because it's just a generally good card, and JP doesn't usually get these cards. But also just being, whether it is gotcha or not, might be a solid one to get your hands on. It also could be, it feels like it's a card that's heavily hinting at the fact that we're going to see another Brave Exvius crossover event. And if that was already announced, then sorry I didn't see it, but definitely seems to be hinting at that. Either way, kind of like the vision card, kind of like the artwork, and it's weird because the artwork isn't quite the same style as some other ones. You know, if we just look at this one feels a little more, this feels a little more 3D rendered and a little more cleaner in a more realistic. I don't know. Something about the vision card artwork. We could just review the vision card artwork for a while, but it's kind of boring. So yes, could be hinting at a global event coming soon. JP hasn't had one of those yet, even the first one, so just gonna shrug my shoulders and move on. Next up, building up to the unit, is this one, the Stag of the Shining Summer. For all you globalers who wanted male units, you're getting your male dudes, right? Alright, so what are we looking at here? We are looking at missile attack rate, resistance piercing rate up, slash attack resistance up, and AP acquisition up, with, of course, for limited effects. Just missile attack magic up, missile attack resistance up, and air attack resistance up. Generally, this is a really strong vision card for the wind element, and honestly, it feels good in wind if you were looking at just Cowl and Summer Jaded, but with the recent news today of the new JP unit, this vision card actually is even better than it looks. Just throw it on Summer Jaded and get the limited cost girl later, and you have a pretty strong combination in tandem with June. Not necessarily perfect synergy, but as we'll talk about in a minute with the new unit, there's probably enough synergy multiple different ways that this is just a solid get. Now, first of all, this is a 100 cost global exclusive unit. Another wind unit too, so there goes the elemental theme. But anyway, Beachside Stag is a magic gunner. Nah. Arithmetician is always a fantastic job to get, and Scholar is definitely not bad either, though Jaden definitely wins the prizes. I feel like they probably owed him for some event that may have happened to his character. I don't know. Slight hinting in the future, don't post spoilers in the comments. Remove them, and you as well. But a 100 cost unit, this could mean bad banners, this could mean a lot of different stuff, so, you know, keep expectations in check, spend responsibly, and all of that. As for the unit himself, his limit burst dealing large damage is an AoE, and it does have good range on it, and it does have a chance of invoking slow. All of these things are net positives. The only thing I guess I could complain about is that it is not, you know, the large AoE. It's not a diamond AoE. It's just generally a, you know, the plus AoE. So it's fine. I think it's good, but not overly exciting until I see the rest of his kit and how it exactly works all together. Next up, Splash Shower significantly, not significantly, lowers reaction ability activation rate, target within range, and deals damage M based on the magic stat. This is the large AoE. This is a great one to see here. It does mean that this character will be a capable farmer, and not only that, will also just be capable of catching a lot of enemies potentially in. Now, it doesn't have super great range, and I'm not sure if I feel overly comfortable about it being that limited, but you know, you got to kind of balance these out somehow. Looks okay. I mean, the reaction ability rate's the thing that I really care about here. It definitely isn't damage, because lots of units can do. This unit being able to potentially get rid of evasion counters or just general counters overall is going to be more useful. Last but not least, Suns Out, Guns Out. Great name. Raise agility of allies within area around self for 3 turns. Bestows AP auto restore effect, small for 3 turns. Self. Now, automatic AP regeneration should never be scoffed at. Even if the class does have great AP generation, it's always a good idea to have extra access to it. That being said, small is less than impressive, and until I see his starting AP, I'm mildly concerned, not terribly concerned. If he does have full AP, it may not matter too much that this is here anyway. I mean, it's small, but it does definitely open up his TMR slot for a lot of potential different stuff, or TMR weapon builds if you are so inclined. Long story short, Jaden looks like a absolutely solid unit, and I can already think of how this is going to be an annoying unit to go up against, because you have characters that you can pair with him quite nicely from the wind element. Just thinking for limited time, you know, obviously this one maybe not the one people are necessarily thinking about, but if it's, you could potentially pair this unit in. Obviously, Joom is always the biggest consideration with the wind element and backbone of the wind element. I know some people are going to think, well, how about this girl? I would say that her performance is starting to drop off more on the JP side. I mean, you could theoretically do him, Cowl, and the new girl from JP, Cherise, and that would be an entire wind elemental team. You could put him with Lucia. And, you know, all of these combinations of characters are going to be potentially really good, but you could just do the triple 100 cost for wind element now, I think very comfortably. Zidali and him will share a bonus for overall magic, and putting a really great tank like Doom in the front of it is just ultimate annoyingness for the opponent to deal with, between status effects, damage, both physical and magical, and a really tough tank to get through. It does look like a hell of a 300 cost team for units alone. So yeah, overall, I mean, of course, I would always say temper expectations until we see the kit. That is always the thing. I will take a look at that once it is released and updated for both of our new wind projectile characters, and dish out recommendations there for people who are looking for them. But for some people who on the global side, who I know have been super thirsting for a summer unit of any kind, this might be all you get this year. So, you know, digging kind of thing, right? And obviously for Jaden fans, this seems pretty good. It seems like a straight, almost upgrade on basic Jaden, just because he does have some new stuff that is already looking rather appealing in his kit, and we haven't seen the full part yet. But he also has good sub jobs too that feel like they're going to provide a lot of nice backup. And is there anything else I really want to say about it? Nah, probably just wait and see. So yeah, Jaden fans, go nuts. Beach fans, go nuts. Everyone else, remember, there are still some great stuff coming, and the one thing that kind of needs to be seen about how he would handle is the combination of Snow Bears and Eliza, which is soon to be realized on Global. And from my personal experience with the whole Wind-Ice matchup in Arena, especially once you get the status effects kind of out of the way through certain TMRs, the matchup is almost surely like completely ice. So, you know, just think about that for the future. So that's all for this one. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll try not to wait a full week for another video after this. Still waiting for that next collaboration, though. I'll be drawing here. See ya.